Rhonda here from Nelson's Soapery. Today I'm going to be making this really little sweet unicorn cupcakes. So I thought I'd take you along, and I'm sure that you're all going to be happy to come along and see exactly how I do this. So I got all my raw ingredients in here already. So I'll tell you what my mixture is. So this is a 1,000 gram or 1 kilogram mixture that's in here. So let me grab my list so I can tell you. So it is 150 grams of coconut oil, 150 grams of ethically sourced palm oil, so make sure it's certified as well, 100 grams of shea butter, and then I've got 400 grams of olive oil going in, 80 grams of castor oil, 100 grams of sweet almond oil. And then if you want to know my lye mixture is 275 grams of distilled water and 135 grams of sodium hydroxide. So that is my full recipe. But in here we're going to be starting with our hard oils. We'll do a heat transfer method. So I've already got my lye that's all mixed up here. So you can see it's quite clear in here. You can see the spoon through it. And that way you know that it's totally dissolved. And then we're just going to pop it in here. I'm actually using a new tripod to film today, hoping that that kind of is a little bit better, because sometimes I think when I have the smaller tripod, which I actually sit on the bench on the corner and then film, sometimes I kind of feel like it doesn't really get exactly what you want to see. So hopefully this gives you a better shot and you can tell me what you think. So I'm going to let that sit for 5 seconds. I'll remove this hydroxide away from it. Anyway, and we will just keep mixing this up. So when you're doing this particular method as well, which is, like I said, called the heat transfer method, and the reason it's called that is because the lye is extremely hot, and then you're just going to be transferring all of the butters into here. So heat, you know, that's exactly why they call it the heat transfer method. So we will just keep mixing this up, and then I will come back in a moment. So we just keep mixing the rest of this mixture and making sure that all of the big lumps of, you know, coconut or shea and all those raw ingredients are totally mixed in. It may take some time, about 10 minutes sometimes, just to mix it thoroughly and make sure that there's no lumps and it's nice and smooth, because that will give you the bar of soap that you need. So we'll keep mixing and then we'll be on to the next step. So I'm still mixing along and making sure all the bumps have come out. And then in the other bucket that you can see in front of me, I do have all of my other oils. So in that bucket, we do have the castor oil. Obviously we have the olive oil because that's the main content in this. And then I have also put in 1 tablespoon of sodium lactate, and that will just help these to sort of release from their mold nice and easy as well. But the full recipe will be down the bottom, so you don't have to write it all down. So this recipe that we're doing here, this 1,000 grams, this is only going to be doing enough just to do the bottom of the mold, and then we're going to have to do another 1,000 grams to make the swirl and everything, obviously, of the cupcake, just to give it that character that a cupcake should have, and we'll do that in different colors. But I'll show you that, and we will come back to that a bit later after we've made all this bit. So I'm mixing in all my oils now, my liquid oils, and mixing it all in, and then I'll have to get the blender and we'll be on to the next part. So we've got all the mixture together in here, and then I have also poured off a tiny little container of the oils that I'm going to be using, or the fragrance oil. So the one that I'm using today is called Birds of Paradise, and it does have 0.4% lanolin in it, so it will discolour the tiniest bit, but hardly anything at all. I've used it before and it's really good, and that's from Aussie Candle Supplies, and the scent is just delicious. It's just really sweet and beautiful. So I'm just giving it a mix up here. You'll see that I'm not mixing it too much. Once again, I am using my cheap little $10 blender just so that you can see that it does work and it can make some gorgeous things. And then you'll also see to the side, I do have my colours that I'm going to be using. So I'm literally going to be doing just a bit of a drop swirl in the pot. So with these beautiful colours, and that way it will just add a little bit of difference to the colour rather than having just a boring, you know, plain colour on the bottom. So I'm using some Sud Off micas here. So I'm using one that's called Crystalline Teal. And then the other one will be Lavender Dreams. Lavender Dreams is the main colour, and then I'm going to put the other colours on top of that. And then, of course, I do have a beautiful deep purple and also an orange as well. But the orange colour that you can see, that's from Aussie Candles. So, but they will be our next little in the pot swirls. So, but for now, we're just going to be popping them all in their separate container so that we can add a teaspoon of mica to the main color, to the separate colors, and the main color will have the Lavender Dreams in it. So I'll leave you so that you can watch me do this little bit, and then I'll come back in a moment. So I've made all the colours up, and now all I'm doing is I'm just going to be dropping them straight into this, which is called In the Pot. And basically all it is just the colours that I want, and I'm just one by one, I'm just pouring them individually in there. If you pour some up high and some down low, it will make them drop to the bottom, but I don't need to do that because I actually do what I personally call a turnover. And a turnover to me is I just get a spoon and literally turn over you know, the mixture once or twice, and all that is similar to folding in if you make cakes and things, you know, if you just say to fold it in, it's similar to that. So what I'm going to do is I need to work fast here because it is setting up quite fast because it's a warm day today. And then I'm just literally going to be popping it in the mold. So this is just going to be the base of the cupcake, and then I will come back later and do all the piping, of course. So now I'm just basically any of the extra colours, I'm just going to pop them in here. One thing I will say is not all micas are equal as well. Some micas will actually thicken up faster. I don't know why that is, but they definitely do. So the ones here that I've got from Aussie Candles, which is the orange, that definitely thickens up super duper fast. And I'm just not sure why, but the ones from Sud Off don't seem to do that as much. So maybe they're just a different quality or a different product. I don't know, maybe they have more, some of them are more artificial than natural, and some are cosmetic grade, so that could have something to do with it. But anyway, we'll set it all up, and I do have a little bit of extra mixture. So what I'm doing now is I'm just getting my cupcakes and disinfecting them, or like I said, sanitizing them with the spray, and then I'm going to be popping the extra into those, and they would just be little giveaway ones probably in the end. Anyway, I'll keep going, and we'll be back soon. So next I'm going to organise my piping bag because we're going to be piping the top just as you would for a normal cupcake. So I've got these large bags. I buy them in a roll. They actually come from a cake supplier. The one I use is My Dream Cakes, but I'll pop the link down the bottom for you. And then I'm just using this open star tip. I never know what the real names of these tips are, but I just try and show you so that you can see. But even if you showed a picture of that to a cake store, they would help you out. And then I'm just using some plastic wrap here. In Australia, we don't have the one that they have in the US where it actually sticks itself together, which I wish they did, but we don't. And anyway, and then I'm just going to be popping in all of my mixture into it. The mixture was a little bit wet. It still is a tiny bit. It really is better to be thicker, but I'm going to leave them in these bags, so it's no problem. And all you're going to be doing is just doing lines of each color. And when you actually pop it into the piping bag and pop it onto the soap cake, it's going to create this really beautiful two-toned look, which is perfect for a little unicorn soap cupcake. Anyway, so I pop them all into these, and I'll show you after the reason I'm doing this for the bag. This actually really will help you because it means you only need to use one piping bag, and it saves from such a big mess. And because I have quite a bit of mixture, I'm doing like 4 or 5 of them into these. Don't try and pack it into one plastic sleeve, because if you do that, it will just come out the end when you're pushing on the piping bag to pipe. So anyway, I'll be back in a minute. When you're doing these as well, if you just leave them to sit a bit if they're not really ready, and then that way when we actually pipe it, it's a better consistency as well. So I just get all of it out. If you have too much, use it for soap dough later. But anyway, and then make sure you twist the ends of the plastic wrap. Now we're on to my favourite bit, which is the end, because the end does show all the detail of this soap cupcake. So just do one little, blob in the middle. So I just do a nice little piping bit in the middle. You can see that this mixture is too wet. It's not ready. So what I'm doing is just going to do one little bottom layer, and then I will come back to put a top layer on. So if you start to do it and you think it's too wet, then just leave it and you can come back later. And so you can see I've just pulled out each plastic sleeve out of it, and now I'm going to show you a trick to get it in easier. If you just use like a piece of waxproof paper or something, and then just sit the plastic bit inside of that, and it will slide in the bag, and then just pull the paper out. So that's an easy way to get them in or out if you're having trouble, and that way you can just put the plastic sleeve in and keep going. So you can see that I've just done one sort of little layer on each one of these, and then like I said, once it sets up a bit more, I do come back and do another bit on top. So with cupcakes, to make them look like beautiful, rich sort of luxury cupcake soaps, you want them to have really 3 sort of layers around. If they only have 1 or 2, they look really small, and people don't pick them up. I do sell quite a lot of the ice cream ones, and I think my big ones have about 5 rows on them. So but anyway, like I said, I'll keep going onto this, and you can see I have extra, so I've just done my little baby ones at the bottom there. And then when you go onto the second layer, do make sure that you also put the blob in again, so that way it's not hollow in the middle and it's not going to break during travel. It does make it a lot tougher as you go along. So I have let it set up a little bit longer and it's definitely much better. So here I go and start on, like I said, the second sort of level of the piping around. If it was the right consistency and quite thick, you could just keep going all the way around, but I don't mind doing this. And I usually do stop halfway and then I, like I said, do the second sort of row, because if you keep doing it and you make a mess, then you'll be all disappointed. So that's sort of my tip, and do it in two little halves when you're doing these cupcakes. I often get asked why mine, sort of reach that beautiful peak, and that's why. Also, if it's too thin and not thick enough, it won't hold any embeds on the top. The embeds will be too heavy and they'll literally just crush it. So you do need to make it a little bit thick. If you find that it's thin and you've already put it on, you could scrape it off and do it again, or you could simply leave it, just wait 10 minutes and come back and pop the embed on. It won't go hard in that time at all. So that's my suggestion anyway, but you can see that I'm going to keep going on here, and once these are all ready, then I will of course put my embeds, because I do have a heart to go on each, and then I also have a unicorn head, and I do know that I don't have enough unicorn heads, but that's okay. I'll do the last few as just some really pretty little rose ones, because I always keep some extra roses that I piped aside just for these kind of things. So here is the little hearts and the unicorns that I was talking about before. So I've decided I'm going to be putting the little hearts sort of at the front or to the side a bit, and then on the top I will push in the little unicorn head, because that's what every little girl or boy is going to be looking for. Also, one little tip, when you're actually making these, on the wrapping you do need to write this is not food, or it's not edible. When you're making something that looks like food like this, it is really important that it says this is not food. So look into your local laws or what's involved in your labelling, but for us in Australia it does need to be on there. So, and of course I would pop that on there, because you'll be amazed how many children have come to see me at a market and thought it was real and picked it up, and have even tried to take a bite, but mine are all in plastic, so they didn't get very far with that. But that's sort of my suggestion. I'm sorry that my video has gone a little bit dark, but the sunlight has come in because it is sort of like 3 o'clock in the afternoon in autumn in Australia at the moment. But I'm sure that you can agree they are starting to look absolutely beautiful. Of course, I popped some biodegradable glitter on because they're gorgeous with that. And once I've finished with them all, though, I will bring you back tomorrow once they're all ready, and we'll undo them, and then I'll actually show you them in the nice daylight, so that way you'll see how pretty they are. But they've come up really, really beautiful. It reminds me of a really soft kind of gelati ice cream with the colouring as well. Here's a quick little snip so that you can see what they look like while they're sitting in their molds. We'll come back tomorrow and I will undo them, and of course I will bring that to you so that you can see that at the end. Okay, we're back. It is the next day, and of course the light is so much better, I'm sure, as you can tell. So it is daylight, so the curtains are open, and we're opening up our darling little unicorns cupcakes. And I'm sure you can agree, look how cute they look. So the bottoms of them that do look a bit more of a mold colour, they will actually change. They should lighten in time. So with soap, it does take time to to get the real colour that you will see, and I'm sure that they're going to look absolutely beautiful. But I do love the different colours at the bottom. I do agree that maybe orange, I probably shouldn't have put the orange in because that's kind of a bit bright, isn't it? But I still think it looks really good, and if the bottom was white, I don't think it would look as exciting and colourful to a child, and most times children are going to get these, although I do have quite a lot of ladies that love buying my mermaids and unicorn products. So anyway, I just thought that I would bring you these so that you can see me unwrapping them all. So they are, like I said, in a silicone mold. So all we're going to do is you just push them up from the bottom, and when you're unmolding things like this, you do need to be quite gentle because they can quite easily break, or you can sort of push the bottoms in a bit. Yeah, so anyway, just make sure you get them out nice and easy. And the difference with my recipe is it is a lot softer than some other people's, as because I don't use any animal fats or anything in mine. I don't use lard or anything like that. Mine is basically, you know, a coconut shea and certified palm oil recipe. Of course, with some beautiful oils as well, but that's the main base of the hard butters that go into mine. So look how gorgeous it is, and I'm sure that you will love and can see all the sparkling biodegradable glitter that I've put on the top. So I'll let you watch to the end. I've also added some pretty photos on it as well. If you'd like to give me a thumbs up, that would be amazing, but only if you think it is worthy. And you will see me on the next video. Have a lovely weekend, everyone. Little photos just to show you, or a video I should say, just how cute they do look with all the sparkle and sitting on the bench. We've taken them all out and they're just looking really lovely, and I think this video should show you a little bit more of the sparkle and how gorgeous it is. It is a rainbow biodegradable glitter that's on the top. We only use biodegradable glitters on all of our soaps. Anyway, have a lovely weekend, everyone. See you next time.